Hi everyone, it is so good to be here again to tell you our Bible story. Truella, where have you been? Well, I've been over at Rudy's house and I went on a little vacation, went to the beach, and well, I've been looking for a new place to live. Oh, really? Is this one of the new places that you're hoping to live? Actually, yeah, it is. I'm trying to find a new spot, so I was going to try this one today. Oh, well, this seems like a lovely spot, Truella. It's got some beautiful colors, that's for sure. Some red and pink and gray. Very nice colors. Yeah, I thought so. Well, today, boys and girls, we're going to continue on with our Bible story. I'm so glad Truella is here today to help us tell the Bible story. We are going to be continuing on in the book of Matthew, where we're going to find out more about who God is and what he's like. Now, I have a question for you, Truella. Oh, yeah? What's that? Well, my question is, do you like broccoli? Oh. I guess I'll take that as a no. Oh, I guess Truella doesn't really like broccoli. What is it about broccoli that you don't like? I don't know. I just don't like it. You just don't. Truella, have you ever even tried broccoli? No? Well, how do you know if you don't like it? Well, because it's green. Yes, and it looks like a tree. I guess it does look like a tree, but how do you know if you don't like it if you've never tried it? Oh, I don't know. I thought if it was green, it might taste like slime or bugs, and because it looked like a tree, I thought maybe it tasted like trees. Truella, you can't make a decision about something without actually trying it or without actually, putting it in your mouth and tasting it. Maybe you'll actually really like broccoli. You don't really know. Oh, I guess. Hey, this actually reminds me of my Bible story today. My Bible story is about someone who, when someone saw him, he judged him by what was on the outside, which means that he looked at his outside and made a decision on whether or not he could do a job or not. That's not fair. No, it's not. It's not fair at all. We can't judge someone just by the way that they look. We can't tell if they're kind or smart or if they're the right person for the job just by looking at them on the outside. We have to wait and see what their behavior is like, what they act like. Kind of like you can't decide if you don't like broccoli if you've never tried it, Truella. No, okay. Maybe I'll have some broccoli for supper. Yeah, maybe, but maybe first why don't you listen to my story and see what you think. I'll tell it in just a second. A long time ago in the nation of Israel, the people asked God for a king. They had never had a king before, and they really, really wanted one. So they sent a man named Samuel to find one for them. Samuel was someone who listened for God's voice and would tell the people what God said. He went around until God showed him that a man named Saul would be the king of Israel. Now, Saul was very, very tall, and he was very, very strong, and all of the people were so glad that Saul was their king because he could help them fight their battles and help them make decisions and do all kinds of things like that. They were very glad that very tall and very strong Saul was their king. Now, one time, when Saul was waiting for Samuel to come, he waited and waited and waited for a very, very long time. He was supposed to wait for Samuel to come so that he could give the gift of sacrifice to God. Now, it was not Saul's job to give the sacrifice to God. It was Samuel's job. So when Samuel got there, he said, "Saul, why didn't you wait? You were supposed to wait for me." Well, Saul said, all of the people were worried and they were going to leave and they were getting scared. And so I thought that maybe I should just sacrifice and do that job. Now, even though Saul was very tall and very strong, his heart was afraid of the people. And instead of obeying God, he obeyed the other people. Now, because of that, God said that Saul was not going to be the king forever and that someone else would be the king. So that made Samuel very sad. He liked having Saul as the king, and he knew that that was God, who God had chosen to be the king. But God said, "Don't worry, I have someone else in mind." And so, after a little while, God told Samuel to go to the land of Bethlehem and see a certain family and find the new king. Now, when the first son came out, Samuel thought in his mind, he thought, "Oh, good. He's tall, he's strong, and he's going to be a good warrior. He will make a good king." But God said, "Nope, not him." You know why? Because people look at someone's outsides, but God, do you know where he looks? He looks at our hearts, at the thing inside of us that makes our decisions, that holds our feelings and our thoughts. That's what's important to God, not what's on the outside. So, first comes the first son. God says, "Not him." Then another son, and God says, "Not him." And then some more sons come by, and God says, "Not them." But then Samuel looks around and goes, "Oh no, there's no more sons. Do you have any more sons?" And Jesse said, "Yes, I have one more, but he's little and he's out watching the sheep." Samuel said, "Bring him here. We want to see him." So in comes David, who is out watching the sheep. And while he was out there, he came in to see Samuel. When he got closer, God said to Samuel, "This one, anoint this one as king." So Samuel took very special oil and poured it on David's head, showing everyone that David would be the next king. Now, David was not very tall, and he was not very strong, but there was something that nobody else could see but God. David's heart loved God first, and that was what was going to make him a good king. It isn't about how strong or tall you are. It's about our hearts that love God first. David became the king of Israel, and he was a good king for a long time, and he helped more and more people love God first because he loved God first. Now, what does this have to do with the Sermon on the Mount, the story that Jesus was telling? Well, Jesus is telling us what matters is not always what's on the outside. What matters is what's in our hearts, because what's in our hearts come out through our actions. When we love God first, our actions will love God first. And that's the way God wants it for us to love others with God's love. Now, Truella earlier, she was judging broccoli. She had never even tried broccoli before, but she had made up her mind about broccoli. She was deciding what something was without even really knowing about it. That's kind of like what Samuel was doing. he was making a decision or a choice about people based on what he could see on the outside. But God reminded him it's what's on the inside that matters. When we love God first, our actions will look like loving God first. That's all I have for my story today. I do have an activity for you, and I'm going to show you in just a couple of seconds. I hope you have a really great week, and I'll see you next week for learning more about who God is and what he's like from the Bible. I'll talk to you later, everyone. Bye! All right, I have 2 activities for you today. The first activity is about trying something new. A lot of times we don't try something new because we're worried about it, or what we have ideas about it, or what we think about it. We judge it based on the outside instead of what maybe it could be on the inside. For example, in the preschool story today, we learned that Truella had never tried broccoli because she had decided that green food might taste like slime. Now, that's kind of a silly thought, but sometimes we don't try new things because of what we're worried about on it being on the outside, but maybe it could be something different on the inside. So your first activity this week is to try something new and think about what you think about it. The second activity that you can do this week is to make a pair of crazy glasses. What do you think of my crazy glasses, everyone? I did some coloring, right? So I just used some markers. I found these out of paper and I colored them and I made them all sparkly. Now you can add glitter or pipe cleaners, or you can make them out of pipe cleaners. You can add pom-poms or whatever you want. And the reason why we're making these crazy glasses, because they're a reminder to us that even though people look at the outside and they see the actions, where does God look? He looks at our heart. And so this is a reminder of where God is looking, and that's what really matters. God is looking at our hearts, and out of our hearts comes our actions. So this week, try something new and make some crazy glasses. All right? I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you later, everyone. Bye.